You need to hear this if you're a mafia documentary freak like us here at Notorious Figures in History. Together, we will uncover the secrets of the underworld. Let's begin this story. As we journey into the past, we'll explore the captivating world of the mafia. From notorious mob bosses to the unsung heroes who brought them down, and these mini-documentaries offer a glimpse into a life shrouded in mystery and power. Sit back, relax, and immerse yourself in 40 minutes of mobster tales that will surely impress your crew and your gumar. Let's begin our journey. Hi there, true crime fans. Today let's dive into the life of Steven Crea, also known as Stevie Wonder. He was the notorious underboss of the Lucchese crime family. Born in 1947, Crea grew up in the Bronx, New York. He entered the world of organized crime in the 1980s, quickly rising through the ranks. Crea was known for his sharp business acumen, overseeing lucrative construction rackets and labor unions. By the late 90s, Crea had become the underboss of the Lucchese family. His reign was marked by violence, extortion, and a shrewd ability to evade law enforcement. However, his luck began to run out in the early 2000s. In 2001, Crea was indicted on racketeering and murder charges. He was accused of orchestrating hits and running an illegal gambling operation. Despite his attempts to fight the charges, Crea was sentenced to several years in prison. After being released, Crea returned to his old ways, but the feds were always watching. In 2017, he was arrested again in a sweeping crackdown on the Lucchese family. This time, the charges stuck. In 2020, he was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for his role in multiple murders and extortion schemes. Steven Crea's story is a stark reminder of the rise and fall of those in the world of organized crime. He played the game well, but in the end, the law caught up with him. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe for more videos on notorious figures in history. Thanks for watching. From rising star to a tragic end. The story of Salvatore Montagna is as riveting as it is heartbreaking. Born in Montreal, Canada in 1971, Montagna swiftly climbed the mafia ranks, earning himself the nickname the Iron Worker for his trade and unyielding resolve. In the early 2000s, Montagna caught the eye of the infamous Bonanno crime family in New York. By 2006, he achieved the unthinkable, becoming the acting boss of the Bonanno family, one of the most powerful positions in the American mafia. But this power came with a price. His reign was short-lived. In 2009, Montagna was deported back to Canada, and his influence began to wane. Back in Montreal, he sought to reclaim his empire, but the criminal landscape had changed. Rival factions were vying for control, and alliances were fragile. On November 24th, 2011, Salvatore Montagna's fate was sealed, lured to a meeting under false pretenses. He was ambushed and shot multiple times. Montagna attempted to flee but succumbed to his injuries, tragically ending up in the L'Assomption River. Montagna's life was a stark reminder of the perilous world of organized crime, where loyalty is rare and betrayal is inevitable. His rise and fall highlight the volatile nature of power within the mafia, a world where today's ally is tomorrow's enemy. If you found this story intriguing, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more engrossing tales of notorious figures in history. Join me next time as we delve into the dark underbelly of true crime.
Hello and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving deep into the life of a man who was the Sicilian link to one of America's most powerful crime families. This is the untold story of John Gambino. Born Giovanni Gambino in Palermo, Sicily in 1940, John was destined for a life of crime. The Gambino family, one of the infamous 5 families of New York, had deep roots in both Sicily and America. By the 1960s, John had moved to the United States, becoming a pivotal figure in the Gambino crime family. John's rise to power was marked by his cunning intelligence and ruthless tactics. He was known for his ability to negotiate and broker deals, often acting as a mediator between the Sicilian Mafia and American organized crime groups. This made him a key player in the international drug trade, particularly in heroin. In 1984, John Gambino was indicted in the famous Pizza Connection case. This operation revealed a massive drug trafficking network that used pizza parlors as fronts for heroin distribution. Despite the charges, John managed to evade conviction for several years, showcasing his deep connections and the reach of his influence. However, in 1992, John was finally convicted on racketeering and conspiracy charges. He served a significant portion of his sentence before being released in 2005. Even after his release, he remained under the watchful eye of law enforcement until his death in 2017. John Gambino's story is a testament to the complex and often shadowy world of organized crime. His life's journey from Sicily to the heart of America's mafia underworld remains a captivating tale of power, influence, and the relentless pursuit of control. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of John Gambino, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more stories about notorious figures in history. Thanks for watching. Are you ready to uncover the dark secrets of a man who ruled the underworld? Born Giuseppe Dotto in 1902, Joe Adonis was no ordinary mobster. Rising swiftly through the ranks, he became a key player in the infamous Five Families. Known for his cunning and ruthlessness, Adonis was the mastermind behind numerous criminal enterprises, including bootlegging and illegal gambling. But what made him truly feared was his alliance with Lucky Luciano, forming the backbone of the American Mafia. Adonis was not just a mobster, he was a kingmaker who orchestrated power plays that left his enemies in the dust. His life was a web of deceit, betrayal, and power, culminating in his deportation to Italy in the 1950s. Yet, even in exile, his shadow loomed large over the criminal world. Intrigued by the tales of notorious figures like Joe Adonis? Subscribe now for more dark and captivating stories from the annals of history. Until next time, stay curious. Oh, and don't forget to like and comment. Cheers.
To the shadows.
This is why you need to know about Albert Tock Tannenbaum. Born in 1906, Albert Tannenbaum's life wasn't always tainted by crime. But by the 1930s, he was a notorious hitman for Murder Inc., an infamous organized crime group. Known for his meticulous nature, Tannenbaum's precision earned him the nickname Tock. His crimes ranged from contract killings to extortion, leaving a trail of fear and mystery. Yet despite his ruthless exterior, Tannenbaum was a man haunted by the ticking clock of his own morality. In the end, it was his conscience that led to his downfall. Arrested in 1940, he turned state's witness, helping to unravel the very organization he once served. Intrigued by the dark underworld of history? Subscribe now for more deep dives into the lives of notorious figures. Your next obsession awaits. Oh, and leave us a comment if you enjoyed this
I bet you
video.
didn't know how one man could dominate the shadows of New York City. Meet Ignazio Lupo, the Wolf. Born in Sicily in 1877, Ignazio Lupo earned the nickname the Wolf for his ruthless behavior. By the early 1900s, he had carved out a fearsome reputation in the criminal underworld of New York City. Lupo's empire thrived on extortion, counterfeiting, and brutal enforcement. In 1910, his reign was disrupted. Arrested for a massive counterfeiting operation, Lupo faced a lengthy prison sentence. But even behind bars, his influence lingered in the dark corners of the city. Paroled in 1920, he returned to the streets, a shadow of his former self, yet his legacy remained etched in infamy. Intrigued by more sinister tales? Subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of history's most notorious figures. Welcome, friends. Welcome to our exploration of Brooklyn's underbelly, where shadows whisper secrets and ambition is paved with blood and concrete. Today, we shine a light on the men who ruled this world, men who lived and died by a code most of us could never understand. Joseph Gallo. They called him Crazy Joe, and maybe they were right. He was a study in contradictions, a ruthless killer with a poet's soul. Joe came up in the Colombo family, clawing his way to the top, leaving a trail of blood and broken promises. He had charisma, a way about him that drew people in. But even the loudest laughter fades, and for Joe, the silence came on a warm April night in 1971. He was gunned down in Umberto's clam house, the streets he ruled swallowing him whole that night. Now there's Ruthless, and then there's Albert Anastasia. This wasn't a mobster, this was a force of nature. As the head of Murder Inc., Anastasia was the man you called when you needed something silenced. He was the Grim Reaper himself, doling out death with a cold, unwavering hand. They say he was responsible for hundreds, maybe even thousands of deaths, but even the boogeyman can't outrun fate forever. In 1957, Anastasia met his end in a place you wouldn't expect, a barbershop, the man who cheated death countless times, taken down while getting a shave and a haircut. Ah, Al Capone. The very name conjures images of pinstriped suits, Tommy guns, and a city drowning in illegal booze. But who was the man behind the myth? Before he became the infamous crime boss, Al Capone was just a young man on the streets of Brooklyn, learning the ropes of survival in a tough neighborhood. He was a fighter, ambitious and hungry for a taste of the good life. Growing up in a rough environment, he quickly learned that power and respect were earned through grit and determination. Capone saw an opportunity in the chaos of prohibition and seized it with both hands. The era of illegal booze was his golden ticket. He headed west to Chicago, and it was there that Al Capone truly became a legend. The Windy City was ripe for the taking, and Capone was more than ready to take control. But even the highest walls crumble, and for Capone it was the long arm of the law that finally brought him down. His empire, built on fear and violence, couldn't withstand the relentless pursuit of justice. Tax evasion, can you imagine that? The man who built an empire on bullets and blood was brought low by a pen and a ledger book. In the end, it wasn't the Tommy guns or the rival gangs that sealed his fate, but the meticulous records of his financial misdeeds. The story of Al Capone is a stark reminder that no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law. Gambino, the quiet Don. Carlo Gambino was a different breed. He preferred boardrooms to back alleys, negotiation to bloodshed. Gambino was as cunning as they come, a master strategist who built the Gambino family into a vast criminal empire. He understood that real power came from being the puppet master, not the puppet. And unlike so many others, Gambino died peacefully, of natural causes in his own bed. He was one of the few who truly beat the odds, dying an old man, surrounded by family. Genovese, ambition's double-edged sword, Vito Genovese. This was a man driven by a hunger for power, a hunger that could never be satisfied. He clawed his way to the top of the Luciano crime family, leaving a trail of broken bodies and shattered lives. Genovese built a vast drug trafficking network that stretched across the globe, but like Icarus flying too close to the sun, Genovese's ambition proved to be his downfall. He got sloppy, greedy, and in the end it was the narcotics trade that sealed his fate. He was convicted on narcotics charges and died behind bars, a testament to the fact that even the most powerful empires can crumble. Lucchese, the diplomat. Tommy Lucchese understood the art of the deal. He knew that blood was messy, bad for business. Lucchese saw the bigger picture, forging relationships with powerful families, politicians, even businessmen. He understood that influence was a currency more valuable than gold. Under his leadership, the Lucchese crime family thrived, quietly amassing power and wealth. Lucchese died a natural death in 1967, but his legacy lived on, a testament to the power of strategy and foresight. Gotti, the Teflon Don under the spotlight. John Gotti, now there was a showman. He loved the spotlight, the attention, the notoriety. He was dubbed the Teflon Don because charges just didn't seem to stick to him, at least not at first. But behind the tailored suits and the carefully constructed persona was a cold-blooded killer. But even the brightest stars eventually dim, and for Gotti, the fall was swift and brutal. He was convicted of racketeering and murder, sentenced to life in prison. The Teflon Don, stripped of his power, left to reflect on the choices that led him to a cold concrete cell. Gigante, the Oddfather. Vincent Gigante. He played the part of the harmless old man shuffling through the streets of Greenwich Village in his bathrobe and slippers. People thought he was crazy, but they were fooled. Behind that facade of madness was a shrewd and calculating mind. He feigned insanity for years, using it as a shield to deflect investigations. But even the best act can't last forever. In the end, the jig was up. Gigante was convicted of racketeering and sentenced to prison, where he died in 2005. Relish the Canary, who sang too soon, Abe Reles, they called him Kid Twist. He was Murder, Inc., its most reliable executioner, a man who lived and breathed violence. But even the most hardened criminals can crack. And Reles, he had a weakness, his own paranoia. He turned state's evidence, hoping to save his own skin. But fate has a funny way of intervening. On November 12, 1941, Reles was found dead on the pavement outside his hotel room. Was it suicide? Did he jump, or was he pushed? To this day, nobody knows for sure. One thing's for certain, though. In that world, betrayal is a dangerous game. Lepke, the Labour Tsar, who met the chair, Louis Lepke Buchalter. He wasn't a flashy gangster, no pinstriped suits or Tommy guns for him. Instead, he preferred to operate from the shadows, blending into the crowd. He was a businessman, a cold and calculating operator who saw the potential in controlling the city's unions. His influence spread like a web, reaching into every corner of the labour market. He extorted businesses, intimidated workers, and ruthlessly eliminated anyone who dared to stand in his way. His methods were brutal but effective, ensuring his dominance. But even the most powerful empires can crumble. Lepke's reign of terror couldn't last forever. The authorities were closing in, the evidence mounting. Investigators worked tirelessly, piecing together the puzzle of his criminal empire. Lepke tried to disappear, but there was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. His attempts to evade capture only delayed the inevitable. He was convicted of murder and sentenced to death. The courtroom was filled with a tense silence as the judge passed the sentence. On March 4, 1944, Louis Lepke Buchalter was executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing prison. His story serves as a grim reminder of the ultimate price of a life of crime. We've walked the mean streets tonight, felt the grit beneath our feet, and the ghosts of those who built their empires on violence and fear. These men were products of their time, creatures of circumstance. But their stories serve as a reminder that even in the darkest corners of our world, hope flickers. Subscribe for more videos on Notorious Figures. Today we dive into the shadowy world where organized crime and the music industry intersect. A world where the lines between glamour and brutality blur. Stay tuned to uncover the hidden connections between notorious mobsters and the entertainment world, where power, money, and music collide. Mickey Cohen, a name synonymous with Hollywood's golden age. But behind the glitz was a ruthless mobster. He saw the music industry as an extension of his empire. Cohen, with his sharp suits, understood the power of entertainment. He ran nightclubs, attracting the Hollywood elite and music icons. These clubs became cash cows, feeding Cohen's ventures. He forged alliances with record executives, controlling talent and dictating terms. Tony Accardo, the shrewd and enigmatic boss of the Chicago outfit, preferred a low profile, a stark contrast to the flashy lifestyle of someone like Cohen. But Accardo's influence was far-reaching. He saw the music business as a lucrative investment. Accardo's ventures in record labels and clubs laundered funds and expanded his empire. He secured deals, controlled distribution, and influenced the music scene. Accardo's control over clubs shaped Chicago's musical landscape. Johnny Roselli, a man who moved effortlessly between the bright lights of Las Vegas and the shadowy underworld he represented, was the mob's ambassador to showbiz. Roselli understood the allure of Las Vegas, its promise of escape and entertainment, and he saw an opportunity to merge this world with the burgeoning music scene. He became a power broker, a man who could make things happen. Roselli used his connections to secure gigs for up-and-coming artists, often in the casinos controlled by his mob associates. He could make or break careers, and his influence over talent management was undeniable, shaping the entertainment landscape of Las Vegas and beyond. Paul Castellano, head of the Gambino crime family, was known for his opulent lifestyle and his desire to legitimize the family's business ventures. Castellano saw nightclubs and entertainment businesses as a way to achieve both. He invested heavily in clubs, using them not just as fronts for illegal activities, but as legitimate businesses that catered to the wealthy and influential. Castellano's involvement in these establishments brought an air of exclusivity, attracting high-profile performers, and further solidifying his grip on the music industry. His influence was subtle but pervasive, shaping the atmosphere and direction of music. Fat Tony Salerno, the king of the clubs. Fat Tony Salerno, a powerful figure in the Genovese crime family, was another mobster who recognized the lucrative intersection of organized crime and the music business. Salerno's domain was New York City, and his investments in nightclubs helped shape the city's nightlife. These weren't just any clubs, they were legendary venues that attracted the biggest names in music. Salerno's influence was undeniable, his clubs becoming hubs for both entertainment and illicit dealings. He used his connections to secure top talent, ensuring his clubs remained the hottest spots in town and consolidating his power within the music business. Jimmy Blue Eyes. A key figure in the Genovese crime family, extended the mob's reach into Florida's music scene. He capitalized on Florida's growing appeal as an entertainment destination. His clubs became synonymous with high-quality entertainment, attracting top artists and emerging talent. His influence shaped Florida's mob scene, making it a destination for music lovers and those seeking the mobster glam lifestyle. Sam Giancana, the notorious Chicago mob boss, had ties to Frank Sinatra and Marilyn Monroe. Giancana saw star power as an asset to enhance his influence. Rumors suggest Giancana had a hand in Sinatra's ventures, including casinos. Giancana's influence shaped Sinatra's career and the broader music business. Subscribe for more videos of notorious figures in history. Until next time. If you don't like suspense, you don't want to miss it.
Are you fascinated by tales of betrayal and underworld secrets? Then you need to hear about Joseph the Animal Barbosa. Joseph Barbosa, known as the Animal, was one of the most feared enforcers for the Patriarca crime family in the 1960s. With a reputation for brutality, he claimed to have killed over 26 people. But his story takes a wild turn when he did the unthinkable. Barbosa became one of the first mobsters to break the code of silence, or omerta, flipping to become an informant for the FBI. In what many saw as an act of desperation, Barbosa testified against his former associates, putting several high-ranking mobsters behind bars. This move made him a marked man, and he spent the rest of his life on the run, constantly looking over his shoulder. Why did the Animal turn against his own? Was it fear, or was it a calculated move to save himself? The answers remain buried in the shadows of the criminal underworld. Love our content? Grab a Notorious Figures t-shirt and support the channel. Check out our clothing line link in the description. Until next time, subscribe for more videos on Notorious Figures in history.
Santo Trafficante Jr., a name that sends shivers down the spine of anyone familiar with the American Mafia. Born in 1914 in Tampa, Florida, Santo inherited more than just his father's name. He inherited a criminal empire. By the 1950s, he was the undisputed kingpin of the Tampa mob scene. His reach extended far beyond Tampa. Santo dipped his fingers into illegal gambling, narcotics, and even had connections to Cuban casinos. Legend has it, he even rubbed elbows with the likes of Fidel Castro. But it wasn't all glamour and glitz. In 1957, Trafficante was arrested in Cuba, but his influence got him released. He was a master of manipulation, running his empire from the shadows. Whispers of his involvement in major events like the assassination of JFK still circulate to this day. So, what happened to this notorious figure? Santo Trafficante Jr. passed away in 1987, leaving behind a legacy shrouded in mystery and fear. Subscribe for more videos on notorious figures in history.
None of us really know how deep the rabbit hole goes, but Alan Dorfman, he lived it. Let's dive in. Alan Dorfman was no ordinary businessman. He was the financial wizard behind some of the most powerful mob families in America. Son of a mob-affiliated mother, Dorfman was groomed for the role. His specialty, insurance and pension funds. Sounds benign, right? Think again. In the 1950s, Dorfman took the reins of the Teamsters Pension Fund. Billions of dollars flowed through his hands, funding everything from Las Vegas casinos to Hollywood films. But it wasn't all glitz and glamour. Allegations of corruption and mob ties followed him like a shadow. By the 1970s, the FBI was closing in. Dorfman was convicted multiple times, but always managed to slip through the cracks. Until 1983, a hitman's bullets silenced him for good. Was it the mob cleaning house or someone else? The mystery remains. Want to learn more about notorious figures in history? Hit subscribe and join us for the next deep dive into the shadows of the past.
Am I the only one who didn't know about Johnny Torrio, the real mastermind behind the mob? Born in 1882, Johnny Torrio wasn't your average gangster. He was the brains behind the brawn, the puppet master pulling the strings of Chicago's underworld. With a mind as sharp as a blade, Torrio transformed small-time operations into a criminal empire. Remember Al Capone? Torrio was his mentor, teaching him the art of the hustle. But Torrio wasn't just a mob boss. He was a pioneer, introducing organized crime tactics that are still studied today. His arrest in 1925 didn't end his influence. It only solidified his legacy. Imagine a world where Torrio didn't exist. The face of American crime would be unrecognizable. His story is a chilling reminder of how one man's vision can reshape history. Subscribe and hit that bell for more tales of notorious figures. And if you're passionate about our content, support the channel by checking out our exclusive clothing line. Link in the description. Stay curious. You need to hear this if you're a history buff. The real-life mobster behind Goodfellas, it's time to meet Paul Vario. Paul Vario, a name that sent shivers down the spine of New York City. Born in 1914, Vario climbed the ranks of the Lucchese crime family, becoming one of the most feared and powerful mobsters of his time. From loan sharking to hijacking, Vario's criminal empire was vast and ruthless. He was the mastermind behind the infamous Lufthansa heist of 1978, a daring robbery that netted over $5 million in cash and jewels, the largest cash heist in American history at the time. But Vario's reign wasn't without its pitfalls. In 1984, he was convicted of racketeering and sent to prison, where he spent the last years of his life. Fascinated by stories of crime and power? Subscribe for more videos on notorious figures. Known for his smooth voice and charismatic charm, Dean Martin was the epitome of Hollywood cool. But behind the microphone, was there a darker side? Rumors have swirled for decades, allegations of mob ties, secret affairs, and a hidden life that even his closest friends never knew about. Born Dino Paul Crescetti, Martin's rise to fame was meteoric. But some say his success wasn't just talent, it was connections. Connections to the underworld. Whispers of mafia meetings, backroom deals, and a network of powerful allies who were anything but legal. Martin's charm wasn't just an act, it was a tool. A tool to navigate a web of secrecy and scandal. Did he use his Hollywood persona to mask illicit activities? Or were these just the wild fantasies of a public obsessed with scandal? The truth remains elusive, buried beneath layers of glitz and glamour. Subscribe to dive deeper into the hidden lives of notorious figures. The story of Giovanni Brusca, a name synonymous with terror and brutality in mafia history. Known as the Pig for his unkempt appearance and huge appetites, including a thirst for blood. He once testified that he'd killed between 100 and 200 inches people with his own hands. But his brutality didn't stop there. They called him the Pig for his unrelenting cruelty. His most devastating moment came in 1992 when he pressed the button that triggered the explosives under a Sicilian highway that killed crusading magistrate Giovanni Falcone, Falcone's wife, and 5 bodyguards. Another horrifying act he committed was the kidnapping and murder of a 12-year-old boy, Giuseppe Di Matteo, dissolved in acid after 2 years of captivity. A gruesome message to his father, a mafia informer. Captured in 1996, Brusca's arrest was a victory for justice. Giovanni Brusca, a man whose legacy is written in blood. Subscribe for more videos on notorious figures in history.
Imagine a world of glitz, glamour, and secrets. Welcome to the world of the Rat Pack. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and Joey Bishop were more than just entertainers. They were the kings of Las Vegas, commanding the stage and hearts of millions. But behind the curtain, their lives were shrouded in mystery, intrigue, and a shadowy world of notorious figures with influence. Let's start with Frank Sinatra. Old Blue Eyes wasn't just a crooner, he had some dark connections. Rumors swirled about his ties to the mafia. Documents from the FBI revealed that he was involved with notorious mobsters like Sam Giancana. This relationship allegedly helped him secure lucrative contracts and ensured the Rat Pack's dominance in Sin City. Then there's Dean Martin. The charming, carefree king of cool wasn't as laid back as he seemed. Dean's affinity for gambling nearly ruined him. He was known to bet thousands on a single hand, often with mobsters watching his every move. It's said that his debts were sometimes paid off by his underworld connections. Sammy Davis Jr., with his dazzling performances, also had his share of secrets. As an African American in a predominantly white group, he faced immense pressure and discrimination. But it was his brief affiliation with the Church of Satan that raised eyebrows. Yes, you heard that right. The Church of Satan. Peter Lawford and Joey Bishop, they had their skeletons too. Peter, related by marriage to the Kennedys, was often a pawn in political games. Joey, the quiet one, had a knack for avoiding the spotlight, but his silence spoke volumes. Want to dive deeper into the lives of notorious figures in history? Hit that subscribe button. More secrets await. Thanks for watching.